Good evening. My name is Claudia Aguilera, and today I will be discussing emotionally focused therapy. I will discuss the background and history, the basic tenets of EFT, the nature of the relationship, population it serves, and empirical data that backs up the therapy and the therapeutic process and goals. Let's start with the background and history. EFT or emotionally focused therapy the primary developer is Sue Johnson, and it's based on an attachment based model. She is a psychologist, a theorist, and the author from British Columbia, and she established the International Center for Excellence in Emotionally Focused Therapy. What are the roots? Oh, I'm sorry. Originally, the therapy was established by Leslie Greenberg and Sue Johnson, but in 1986 they parted ways, and she decided to continue to expand the therapy for couples based, like I said, on attachment therapy. Here are some roots and influences on EFT. The main one is by Attachment Theory by Bowlby, and also the Attachment Styles by Answorth, Main, and Solomon. It also has influences by Experiential Psychotherapy by Pearls, Client-Centered Therapy by Rogers, and Structural System Therapy by Minucci. And basically, with Pearls and Rogers, what they have adapted is how they view human nature. For example, they believe that human beings, just like EFT does, they have the growth to adapt their emotional responses in order to emphasize on the experience and not the problem. It's all based on experiences. And regarding Rogers, they pretty much view the therapeutic alliance with the client and the therapist as um, the therapist to the client is an unconditional positive regard. So the atmosphere or the relationship is crucial in this therapy. And from Minuchin, they adopted how systems of relationship work based on the structural systems theory. Specifically from the Bowlby theory of attachment, here's how they have adapted it to EFT. Relationships are emotional bonds infused with meaning, hopes, goals, desires, and attachment significance. They can provide a secure base from which humans can find emotional and physical comfort and safety. Most couples get together for emotional reasons and split up for emotional reasons as well. Continuing on, the Bowlby influence on EFT, attunement and emotional accessibility are the building blocks of security. Fear and uncertainty activate attachment needs. Attachment influences how or whether repair takes place. And here's what I had mentioned the influence from Ainsworth, Main, and Solomon, the attachment style. Specifically in EFT, they focus on secure and anxious attachment. Now we're going to move on to basic tenets. What is EFT? EFT basically is a short term therapy, between 8 and 20 sessions, and it's very structured. It is based on the theory of attachment, as I mentioned, experiential therapies, therapeutic conditions, and family systems therapy element. Here are the core concepts. They place a high importance on emotions to the survival of humans, the role of emotions in attachment and relationships, how attachment can be strengthened to allow for optimal interdependency and emotional regulation. This is how the client is viewed. Clients are viewed through the lens of attachment theory, secure or insecure. Clients are viewed as capable of engaging and changing relationships in healthy ways. Interactions with others create and absorb emotional states, positive or rigid interactions. The client's emotions are seen as the target and agent of change. New experiences and relationship events can cause a change in the client. Now we're going to discuss the nature of the relationship. The role of the therapist is to act as a facilitator. He is crucial in this process. He is the one that provides a safe haven by creating a present, attuned environment that is transparent, accepting, and it's a safe haven and a place where the client can discover and engage. And they focus, like I said before, on the process rather than the problem. The client's role is to be an active participant, identify experiences, accept and express his emotions, explore sense of self and relation to others. And if they're going for couples or family therapy, they work together as a collaboration. As far as the relationship, like I said, between the therapist and relationship is crucial for EFT. There's definitely a therapeutic alliance. It is pretty much based on an unconditional regard from the therapist to the client. They work together to set goals, and the relationship is trusting and transparent and very interactive and as well reflective on the experiences. Now we're going to move on to the population and empirical data. Here is some information and some research neuroscience that has been done. There was a study that was done of well, they were having an EFT therapy session. They then made some MRI images to see what the brain responses were. In the first part, what they found out is that EFT altered the brain's representation of threat cues in the presence of a romantic partner. And then in the same study, the EFT increases threat related brain activity in regions associated with self regulation during the no hand holding condition. So in these experiments, they said some threatening cues, and then they went in the MRI and see how the brain responded, and there was activity, as well as the hand holding and not a whole, no hand holding during the therapy session. And it also reflected on the MRI brain activity. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Also, EFT is very empirically, scientifically based. And most, all the articles go back that EFT therapy has helped more than 70% of couples improve or be symptom free. Here are the populations that it serves. Originally, it has started for couples, but now it has expanded to include family therapy, individuals, and it also can provide therapy for other maladaptive behaviors. For couples, is an effective therapy for dealing with depression, anxiety resulting from trauma, medical illness, and forgiveness dilemmas, basically relational issues. For family, it's similar to couples except that it includes the whole family, and it is based to reestablish more secure family patterns where attachment and caregiving responses are effective and emotional bonds are repaired. For individuals, it's again based on based approach, and it's for individuals dealing with issues of depression and social anxiety. It also is effective in treating childhood abuse, eating disorders, personality disorders, and interpersonal issues. Now we're going to discuss a therapeutic process and goals. The basic goals of EFT is to access, expand, and reorganize key emotional responses between partners, self, and families to create a shift from rigid interactional positions to a more fluid one. Also, to foster the creation of a secure bond between partner, self, and family members by creating new interactional experiences that redefine the relationship. Here are the individual goals for IFIT. Like I said, Sue Johnson expanded her therapy from EFT. Now she has emotionally focused individual therapy and emotionally focused family therapy. For individuals, is to help heal the trauma, depression, and anxiety so their relationships improve. Again, it's based on relationship attachment. To learn to trust themselves by learning how to express their needs healthily to others, to grow the ability to engage with others and shape positive bonds, to expand the self and create emotional balance and resilience. Here are the goals for the couples: to create open communication between couples, heal relationship bonds, create secure connection that grows both partners' receptiveness to one another, to restructure the relationship bond. Here are the goals for the family: to access and expand awareness of feelings associated with family negative patterns, reframing family distress and child problems within the relationship, promoting awareness and access caregiving intentions, and to share unmet attachment needs and effective caregiving responses. Here is the basis for the therapy sessions. The process will always be experiential, like I said, experiential and systematic. And they have divided it into the four P's. Really, it is the five P's. So, number one, the present, focusing on the present. And number two, the primary affect emotions, pretty much moving between secondary to primary. When you are in secondary, you are dealing with those issues that are the reactive emotions, and the primary emotions is the basis for those feelings, such as feeling fear, feeling alone, feeling abandoned. So that's the goal. And also, the systematic process is to process patterns. How do clients engage and process experiences? And finally, the positions and patterns of how the patterns of interactions are between the couple or the family or individual with others. And this is what it looks like. The therapeutic process or a session will include the dancing, the EFT tango. These are the five basic moves. And what it is, it's incorporating the piece that I just reviewed. It is going from reflecting the present to analyzing the feelings and deepening and going where the depth of those feelings are coming from, which are the primary um, emotions, and then engaging the encounter, whether it is with couples or with family and with the individual. With the individual, what I want to say in the side note is that the therapist will work as a part of the self or an imaginary individual person, or a different family member. So it's the same process. And then they process the encounter that they engaged in step three. And finally, they integrate it and they validate it and so forth. So this is the process basically of a session um, in EFT. And here are the stages and the steps. They're divided into three stages. In step one, the goal is to stabilize and de escalate. In other words, number one is to create an alliance between the therapist and the client, identify the negative cycles, attachment issues. Step three, access underlying attachment emotions. Step four, reframing the problem as a cycle or attachment needs. Then you move on to stage two, where they restructure the bond. They access vulnerabilities, implicit needs, fears. In step six, they promote acceptance by other, expanding the dance. There's the dance again. Number seven, structure, reach and respond, express attachment needs. And step stage three is consolidation. Step eight and nine, which is facilitate new solutions and consolidate new positions, cycles, stories of secure attachment. In other words, changing the dance to a different way of reacting to the needs and the fears. Here are the interventions that EFT uses. Number one, that they have divided into three tasks. Number one is establishing the therapeutic alliance. So all of the first interventions they're going to be doing is interventions to create empathetic attunement, acceptance, genuineness, a continuous active alliance monitoring. So that is step one. Task number two of the interventions are reflect, processing as it occurs, validate emotional regulation strategies, ask invocative questions such as unpacking automatic ways of constructing experiences, heighten elements of experience to deepen clients' engagement, and interpret, make small speculations in the midst of experience. So, what this looks like, the interpret is the therapist adding speculation so they can dig deeper into experience, so more information comes out of where that is coming from. And task three, which is the last part of the interventions, is to create new interactions, to reflect steps in the partner's dance and the impact of the dance, reframe attachment, meaning, and interactions, shape interactions, request a direct sharing of clear messages, respect reluctance, share how hard it is to share, and contain negative messages with the intervention called Catch the Bullet. So, again, these are all interventions used throughout the process. And what I want to emphasize is that the therapist keeps going, like I said, it's very systematic to the way he deals with the client when things get altered or a situation gets escalated. The therapist will always go to risk or RISSSC, which will he will repeat what the client shared. He will use images if need be to demonstrate the situation, simplify it, slow the pace, soften the voice, and use the client's word. And this is used, he will model it, he will apply it to the client will adopt it, a new way of speaking and interacting with their partner. So these are all the interventions, and thank you so much for listening to my presentation.